Bourbon. Bourbon is America's whiskey. Nearly all bourbon is made in Kentucky in an area that was Bourbon County. Maker's Mark 46. Production of Maker's Mark started in 1954 after its originator, T. William Bill Samuel Sr., purchased the distillery known as Burke's Distillery in Loretto, Kentucky for $35,000. Burke's Distillery was built in 1889. The first bottle of Maker's Mark was bottled in 1958 and featured the brand's distinctive dipped red wax seal. Maker's Mark is unusual in that no rye is used as part of the mash. Maker's 46 is aged a bit longer inside barrels containing seared French oak staves. The staves create bolder, more complex flavors, while eliminating the bitterness that usually comes with whiskeys that are aged longer. Larceny Kentucky Straight Bourbon has its origins in the long and colorful history of John E. Fitzgerald and the old Fitzgerald brand. According to lore, John E. Fitzgerald built a distillery on the banks of the Kentucky River in the 1870s and sold his fine bourbon to rail lines, steamships, and private clubs. Old Fitzgerald became the first great wheated bourbon. Larceny was hand-selected by the master distillers to have a taste profile of a 6-year-old Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey. Made with wheat as the secondary grain instead of the traditional rye, Larceny is a smooth-tasting bourbon. Buffalo Trace. As the mighty buffalo thundered across the land, they carved paths in the wilderness. These paths, known as traces, were soon marked with the footprints of adventurers, explorers, and pioneers as they made their journey to the west. One such trace, called the Great Buffalo Trace, led to the rugged banks of what is now called the Kentucky River. It was in Franklin County, just a short distance from Kentucky's state capital, that millions of buffalo found passage across the river in their move towards the Great Plains. The tradition of fine bourbon making has been a part of the site's heritage for more than 2 centuries, with a working distillery on the grounds since 1787. Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve has been declared the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. This brand of premium small batch bourbon is distilled at the company's Woodford Reserve Distillery. Distilling on the site began in 1780, and the distillery building itself was erected in 1838, making it the oldest of the 9 bourbon distilleries in current operation in Kentucky. Each bottle is numbered with the batch number and bottle number.